Brisbane, capital of Queensland, is a large city on the Brisbane River. Clustered in its South Bank Cultural Precinct are the Queensland Museum and Science Centre, with noted interactive exhibitions. Another South Bank cultural institution is Queensland Gallery of Modern Art, among Australia's major contemporary art museums. Looming over the city is Mt Crosby, site of Brisbane Botanic Gardens. Brisbane is the capital and most populous city of Queensland and the third most populous city in Australia and Oceania, with a population of approximately 2.6 million. Brisbane lies at the centre of southeast Queensland, which includes several other regional centres and cities. The central business district is situated within a peninsula of the Brisbane River about 15 kilometres 9 miles from its mouth at Moreton Bay. Brisbane is located in the hilly floodplain of the Brisbane River Valley between Moreton Bay and the Taylor and d'Aguilar mountain ranges. It sprawls across several local government areas, most centrally the city of Brisbane. The demonym of Brisbane is Brisbaneite. Brisbane is a major centre of research and innovation in the Asia-Pacific, particularly in medicine and biotechnology. A transport hub, Brisbane is served by large rail, bus, and ferry networks, as well as Brisbane Airport and the Port of Brisbane, Australia's third largest seaport. Brisbane is frequently ranked highly in lists of the most livable cities. Galleries and museums are an important part of the city's culture, with the most prominent being the Queensland Art Gallery and Gallery of Modern Art. Brisbane has hosted major events including the 1982 Commonwealth Games, World Expo 88, the final Goodwill Games in 2001, the 2014 G20 Summit, and will host the 2032 Summer Olympics and 2032 Summer Paralympics. Brisbane is a popular tourist destination. Major landmarks and attractions include South Bank Parklands, the City Botanic Gardens, King George Square and City Hall, the Story Bridge, the Mount Crosby Botanic Gardens and Lookout and the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary. Brisbane is named after the Brisbane River, which in turn was named after Sir Thomas Brisbane, the Governor of New South Wales from 1821 to 1825. The name is derived from the Scottish Gaelic bris, meaning to break or smash, and the Old English word ban meaning bone. Brisbane is in the southeast corner of Queensland. The city is centred along the Brisbane River, and its eastern suburbs line the shores of Moreton Bay, a bay of the Coral Sea. The Greater Brisbane region is on the coastal plain east of the Great Dividing Range, with the Taylor and d'Aguilar ranges extending into the metropolitan area. Brisbane's metropolitan area sprawls along the Moreton Bay floodplain between the Gold and Sunshine coasts, approximately from Caboolture in the north to Beenleigh in the south, and across to Ipswich in the southwest. The Brisbane River is a wide tidal estuary and its waters throughout most of the metropolitan area are brackish and navigable. The river takes a winding course through the metropolitan area with many steep curves from the southwest to its mouth at Moreton Bay in the east. The Brisbane Central Business District, CBD, colloquially referred to as the City, lies in a curve of the Brisbane River. The CBD covers 2.2 square kilometres (0.8 square miles) and is walkable. Most central streets are named after members of the House of Hanover. Queen Street, named in honour of Queen Victoria, is Brisbane's traditional main street and contains its largest pedestrian mall, the Queen Street Mall. Streets named after female members, Adelaide, Alice, Anne, Charlotte, Elizabeth, Margaret, and Mary, run parallel to Queen Street and perpendicular to streets named after male members, Albert, Edward, George, and William. The CBD's squares include King George Square, Post Office Square and Anzac Square, home to the city's Central War Memorial. Brisbane's metropolitan area is broadly and colloquially divided into the north side and the south side, with the dividing line being the Brisbane River, as crossing one of the 15 bridges across the river is required to travel to the opposite side by land transport. Brisbane's major parklands include the Riverside City Botanic Gardens at Gardens Point, Roma Street Parkland, the 27-hectare Victoria Park at Spring Hill and Hurston, South Bank Parklands along the river at South Bank, the Brisbane Botanic Gardens at Mount Crosby and the Riverside New Farm Park at New Farm. There are many national parks surrounding the Brisbane metropolitan area. The Diaghilar National Park is a major national park along the northwest of the metropolitan area in the Diaghilar Range. The Glasshouse Mountains National Park is located to the north of the metropolitan area in the Glasshouse Mountains and provides green space between the Brisbane metropolitan area and the Sunshine Coast. The Tamborine National Park at Tamborine Mountain is located in the Gold Coast hinterland to the south of the metropolitan area. The eastern metropolitan area is built along the Moreton Bay Marine Park, encompassing Moreton Bay. Significant areas of Moreton, North Stradbroke, and Bribie Islands also covered by the Moreton Island National Park, Nari Butjongdura National Park and the Bribie Island National Park respectively. The Boondall wetlands in the suburb of Boondall include 1,100 hectares of wetlands which are home to mangroves and shorebirds as well as walking tracks. Categorized as a global city, Brisbane is among Asia-Pacific cities with largest GDPs and is one of the major business hubs in Australia, with strengths in mining, banking, insurance, transportation, information technology, real estate, and food. Some of the largest companies headquartered in Brisbane, all among Australia's largest, include Suncorp Group, Virgin Australia, Aurizon, Bank of Queensland, Flight Centre, Qua, Sun's Upper, Q Super, Domino's Pizza Enterprises, Star Entertainment Group, ALS, Technology One, Next, Super Retail Group, New Hope Coal, Jumbo Interactive, National Storage, Collins Foods and Boeing Australia. Most major Australian companies, as well as numerous international companies, have contact offices in Brisbane. Brisbane throughout its history has been one of Australia's most important seaport cities. The Port of Brisbane is located at the Brisbane River's mouth on Moreton Bay and on the adjacent Fisherman's Island, created by means of land reclamation. It is the third busiest port in Australia for value of goods. Container freight, sugar, grain, coal, and bulk liquids are the major exports. Most of the port facilities are less than 3 decades old and some are built on reclaimed mangroves and wetlands. The port is a part of the Australia Trade Coast, which includes the Brisbane Airport along with large industrial estates located along both banks at the mouth of the Brisbane River. White-collar industries include information technology, financial services, higher education, and public sector administration generally concentrated in and around the central business district and satellite hubs located in the inner suburbs such as South Brisbane, Fortitude Valley, Spring Hill, Milton and Toowong. Blue-collar industries, including petroleum refining, stevedoring, paper milling, metalworking and QR railway workshops, tend to be located on the lower reaches of the Brisbane River proximal to the Port of Brisbane and in new industrial zones on the urban fringe. Tourism is an important part of the Brisbane economy, both in its own right and as a gateway to other areas of Queensland, as is international education, with over 95,000 international students enrolled in universities and other tertiary education institutions in the central city of Brisbane local government area alone in 2018. Brisbane is home to over 6,000 restaurants and dining establishments, with outdoor dining featuring prominently. The most popular cuisines by number of dining establishments are Japanese, Chinese, modern Australian, Italian, American, Indian, and Vietnamese. Moreton Bay bugs, less commonly known as flathead lobsters, are an ingredient named for the Brisbane region and which feature commonly in the city's cuisine, along with macadamia nuts, also native to the region. The Royal Queensland Exhibition, known locally as the ECA, an agricultural exhibition held each August at the Brisbane Showgrounds in Bowen Hills, is the longest-running major annual event held in Brisbane. A public holiday is held for each local government area across Brisbane to enable widespread public attendance. The Brisbane Festival is held each September at South Bank Parklands, the CBD, and surrounding areas. It includes one of the nation's largest annual fireworks displays, called River Fire, which is attended by hundreds of thousands of residents. The Brisbane International Film Festival, BIF, is held in July/August each year in a variety of venues around Brisbane. BIP features new films and retrospectives by domestic and international filmmakers along with seminars and awards. The Brisbane Portrait Prize is an annual arts event held formerly at the Brisbane Powerhouse and from 2024, at the State Library of Queensland. Sitters for the portrait must have a connection to Brisbane City. The Buddha Birthday Festival at South Bank Parklands attracts over 200,000 visitors each year, and is the largest event of its type in Australia. Brisbane has hosted several major sporting events including the 1982 Commonwealth Games and the 2001 Goodwill Games, as well as events during the 1987 Rugby World Cup, 1992 Cricket World Cup, 2000 Sydney Olympics, 2003 Rugby World Cup, 2008 Rugby League World Cup, 2017 Rugby League World Cup and the 2018 Commonwealth Games. It will host the 2032 Summer Olympics and 2032 Summer Paralympics. It holds the Brisbane International Tennis Competition every year. Rugby league is popular in Brisbane and the city hosts the Brisbane Broncos and Dolphins, who play in the National Rugby League competition, and the Queensland Maroons, who play in the State of Origin series. In rugby union, the city hosts the Queensland Reds, who play in the Super Rugby competition. Cricket is popular in the Brisbane and the city hosts the Brisbane Heat, who play in the Big Bash League, and the Queensland Bulls, who play in the Sheffield Shield and the Ryobi One Day Cup. Brisbane also hosts an A-League soccer team, the Brisbane Roar FC, an Australian Football League team, the Brisbane Lions, a basketball team, the Brisbane Bullets, a baseball team, the Brisbane Bandits, a netball team, the Queensland Firebirds, a field hockey team, the Brisbane Blaze, and water polo teams, the Brisbane Barracudas and Queensland Breakers. The city's major stadiums and sporting venues include the Gabba, a 42,000-seat round stadium at Woolloongabba, Lang Park, a 52,500-seat rectangular stadium at Milton, also known by its corporate name Suncorp Stadium, Ballymore Stadium, the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre, the Sleeman Centre, Swimming, the State Tennis Centre, the Eagle Farm Racecourse and the Dooman Racecourse. The city is also home to numerous golf courses, with the largest being the Indooroopilly Golf Club at Indooroopilly, Queensland, the Brookwater Golf and Country Club at Brookwater, the Kapara Country Golf Club at Kapara and the Royal Queensland Golf Club at Eagle Farm. In addition to its flagship sport franchises, Brisbane and its regions and suburbs have numerous teams in secondary leagues including the Entrust Super Cup, National Rugby Championship, Queensland Premier Rugby, National Premier League Queensland, National Basketball League, ANZ Championship, Australian Baseball League, Hockey 1, National Water Polo League and F-League. Tourism plays a major role in Brisbane's economy, being the third most popular destination for international tourists after Sydney and Melbourne. Popular tourist and recreation areas in Brisbane include the South Bank Parklands, including the Will of Brisbane, the City Botanic Gardens, Roma Street Parkland, New Farm Park, the Howard Smith Wharves, the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary, the Tenerife Wool Stores Precinct, Fortitude Valley, including James Street and Chinatown, West End, City Hall, including the Museum of Brisbane, the Parliament of Queensland, the Story Bridge and Bridge Climb, St John's Cathedral, Anzac Square, and the Queensland Cultural Centre, including the Queensland Museum, Queensland Performing Arts Centre, Queensland Art Gallery, the Gallery of Modern Art and the State Library of Queensland, the Kangaroo Point Cliffs and Park, and the Queensland Maritime Museum. Brisbane is notable for its Brisbane River Walk network, which runs along much of the Brisbane River foreshore throughout the inner city area, with the longest span running between Newstead and Toowong. Another popular stretch runs beneath the Kangaroo Point Cliffs between South Brisbane and Kangaroo Point. Several spans of the River Walk are built out over the Brisbane River. Brisbane also has over 27 kilometres 17 miles of bicycle pathways, mostly surrounding the Brisbane River and city centre. Other popular recreation activities include the Story Bridge adventure climb and rock climbing at the Kangaroo Point Cliffs. Moreton Bay and its marine park is also a major attraction, and its three primary islands, Moreton Island, North Stradbroke Island and Bribie Island, accessible by ferry, contain popular surf beaches and resorts. Tangalooma Resort on Moreton Island is popular for its nightly wild dolphin feeding attraction, and for operating Australia's longest-running whale-watching cruises. The Fort Lytton National Park, including a colonial defence fort and museum, is also a historical bayside attraction. Beachside suburbs such as those on the Redcliffe Peninsula, as well as Shorncliffe, Sandgate, Wynyum, Manly and Wellington Point are also popular attractions for their bayside beaches, piers, and infrastructure for boating, sailing, fishing and kite surfing. The Mount Crosby Reserve, including Mount Crosby, the Mount Crosby Lookout, the Mount Crosby Botanic Gardens and the Sir Thomas Brisbane Planetarium, is a popular recreational attraction for hiking and bushwalking. There are many national parks surrounding the Brisbane metropolitan area which are popular recreational attractions for hiking and bushwalking. The D'Aguilar National Park runs along the northwest of the metropolitan area in the D'Aguilar Range, and contains popular bushwalking and hiking peaks at Mount Nebo, Camp Mountain, Mount Pleasant, Mount Glorious, Mount Sampson and Mount Mee. The Glasshouse Mountains National Park is located to the north of the metropolitan area in the Glasshouse Mountains, between it and that of the Sunshine Coast. The Tamborine National Park at Tamborine Mountain is located in the Gold Coast hinterland to the south of the metropolitan area. Moreton, North Stradbroke, and Bribie Islands are substantially covered by the Moreton Island National Park, Narrabutjungurra National Park and the Bribie Island National Park respectively. The Boondall wetlands in the suburb of Boondall are protected mangrove wetlands with floating walking trails. Immediately to the south and north of Brisbane are the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast respectively, which are home to several of Australia's most popular swimming and surfing beaches, and are popular day and weekend destinations for Brisbaneites. In 2015, a competition by travel guidebook Rough Guide saw Brisbane elected as one of the top 10 most beautiful cities in the world, citing reasons such as its winning combination of high-rise modern architecture, lush green spaces and the enormous Brisbane River that snakes its way through the centre before emptying itself into the azure Moreton Bay. Brisbane hosts numerous university campuses. 3 major universities are headquartered in Brisbane, namely the University of Queensland, UQ, which is Queensland's oldest university and frequently ranks among the world's top 50, with campuses in St. Lucia, Hurston, and Gatton. Queensland University of Technology, QUT, with campuses in the Central Business District, Gardens Point, and Kelvin Grove. Griffith University, GU, with campuses in Nathan, Mount Gravatt, South Bank, and Meadowbrook. 2 other major universities, which are not headquartered in Brisbane, have multiple campuses in the Brisbane metropolitan area, namely the University of Southern Queensland, USQ, with campuses in Springfield and Ipswich and the Central Business District. The University of the Sunshine Coast, USC, with campuses in Petrie and Caboolture. Other universities which have campuses in Brisbane include the Australian Catholic University, Central Queensland University and James Cook University. The Brisbane River creates a barrier to road transport routes. In total there are 16 bridges over the river, mostly concentrated in the inner city area. Brisbane Airport, IATA code, BNE, ICAO code, YBBN, is the city's main airport, the 3rd busiest in Australia after Sydney Airport and Melbourne Airport. It is located northeast of the city centre on Moreton Bay and provides domestic and international passenger services. In 2017, Brisbane Airport handled over 23 million passengers. The airport is an hub for Virgin Australia as well as a number of minor and freight airlines, and a focus city for Qantas and Jetstar. The airport is served by the AirTrans service which runs on the airport line, providing a direct service to the CBD. Archerfield Airport in Brisbane's southern suburbs, Redcliffe Airport on the Redcliffe Peninsula and Caboolture Airfield in the far north of the metropolitan area serve Brisbane as general aviation airports. Brisbane is also served by other major airports in southeast Queensland, including Gold Coast Airport at Coolangatta, Sunshine Coast Airport at Marcola and Toowoomba Wellcamp Airport at Wellcamp. The Port of Brisbane is located on the south side of the mouth of the Brisbane River on Moreton Bay and on the adjacent Fisherman's Island, an artificial island created by land reclamation. It is the third busiest port in Australia for value of goods. The port is the endpoint of the main shipping channel across Moreton Bay, which extends 90 kilometres north near Mooloolaba. The port has 29 operating berths, including 9 deep-water container berths and 3 deep-water bulk berths, as well as 17 bulk and general cargo berths. There are 2 cruise ship terminals in Brisbane. Portside Wharf on the north side of the river at Hamilton is an international standard facility for cruise liners. Due to the height of the Gateway Bridge, which must be passed to reach the terminal, the wharf services small and medium-sized cruise ships. The Brisbane International Cruise Terminal at Luggage Point in Pinkenba on the north side of the river opposite the Port of Brisbane is able to accommodate the largest cruise vessels in the world. Brisbane is covered by Queensland Health's Metro North, Metro South and Children's Health Queensland Hospital and Health Services. Within the Greater Brisbane area there are 8 major public hospitals, 4 major private hospitals, and numerous smaller public and private facilities. The Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital and the Princess Alexandra Hospital are 2 of Queensland's 3 major trauma centres. Standing alone, they are the largest hospitals in Australia. The Princess Alexandra Hospital houses the Translational Research Institute, Australia, along with the state's renal and liver transplant services. The Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital includes a specialist burns unit. The Prince Charles Hospital is the state's major cardiac transplant centre. Other major public hospitals include the Queensland Children's Hospital, the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Hospital, and the Mater Hospital. Brisbane is serviced by 5 major public radio stations, including major commercial radio stations, including ABC Radio Brisbane, Local News, Current Affairs and Talk, ABC Radio National, National News and Current Affairs, ABC News Radio, National News, ABC Classic FM, Classical Music, Triple J, Alternative Music, and SBS Radio, Multicultural Broadcasting. Thank you for watching this video.